Hello everyone, it's DarkFairy07. Today we are playing Bant Neoform or Bant Ritual Brew. Okay, so recently I had Sultai Neoform control build on my channel. Deck did great, and after the video it had several 5-0s in the league with exact same list. Somebody also did well in the challenge, adding 4 frogs to the list. I like really both versions, with frogs, without frogs. Deck is just working out great. I think it's just a pretty solid and fun choice. It does some broken things with Unearthed, Flare and Phalange Archaeologist, filling out the graveyard for Oculus and for Unearthed. In this version we got one Oculus, and Oculus is still good in this deck. It's a great Birthing Ritual target, it's great Neoform target, but I think this deck doesn't want more than one or eventually 2 Oculus. I think like 1 or 2 is ideal. I choose to play 1 here, and we have plenty of one-off targets, but in this, what shines is this is Ephemerate deck, and we have, in going white, we have Ephemerate, Solitude, and some cool one-offs like Wrath of the Skies, Skyclave Apparition. We also have Witch Enchanters in the mana base, Prismatic Endings, and Renegade Railiers. Renegade Railiers are really big in this deck. They are such a good card here with Birthing Ritual, with Neoform. They are really great, one of the best targets you can hit with Ritual. It's just so good. It can ramp you to the Solitude as well. It's just a very good card in the archetype. Okay, so we got plenty of one-off targets here as well. So 1 Oculus, 1 Skyclave Apparition, 1 Endurance. Witness is so good with Ephemerate, very strong Neoform or Ritual target in this build as well, and 2 mentioned Railiers great. So previously I also had 1 Nissa in the deck as a 3 mana target, because Icewind Kotal is no, not Icewind, sorry, Coiling Oracle is elf, so Nissa can also fetch Coiling Oracle, can fetch Endurance, it can fetch Solitude, so it felt like a solid choice, but it was good, but in most situations I wanted to go grab Oculus or Witness or Harbinger of the Seas, so these were always like the 3 main targets, or sometimes Skyclave Apparition when you need removal, of course, Endurance when you need Graveyard Hate, and so on. But Nissa was less and less relevant the more I played with the deck, so I decided to ditch it and play without it. Okay, so the cool thing about this build, we play a bunch of creatures. It has more than enough creatures to support both Ritual and Neoform, but we still have plenty space to play spells. So we have Ephemerates, we have Spell Snares, we have 4 Flare of Denials, such a strong card, and I've been really impressed how well did Coiling Oracle and Icewind Kotal play out in this meta. We also got 2 Prismatic Endings, Wrath of the Skies, and a bunch of these valuable quality creatures in Bant colors, which are really doing a great job winning the games and finishing, and I'm really just happy with the build overall. Worked a lot of it, so I think I played like a full week of with this deck, more than like 6-7 leagues. And last 3 leagues I played, in all leagues I went 4-1, so I had a really good overall score, and in 1 league I missed the trophy after because of the MTGO lag that was really bad recently, and I lost the trophy because I ran out of time, but the deck was really good, and I feel like it's not sure like is Sultai or Bant better, but I feel like both have good reasons to play it. I'm not sure why exactly, but it seems like this kind of value creature decks that can have some interaction, like Flare, like a Spell Snare, Prismatic Ending, Wrath of the Sky, Solitude, Ephemerate, is doing really good at the moment. It has a solution for anything you play against. It has a solid sideboard, more 3-drop targets for Neoform and Birthing Ritual. So we got Knight of Autumn, more Endurance. I got 1 Eidolon of Rhetoric against a combo decks, so, and the second Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, so force of negation in the sideboard, consigned to memory in the sideboard, so we have more interaction here, plus of course a threat, force of vigors, and a second wrath of the skies. It seems like we got everything covered here with these sideboard cards, and I think deck has really a good play against most decks, against everything I played so far. Okay, so that is it. Let's go now check out the gameplay, see how it went. Okay, so this is match 1. Okay, so in match 1 I played against Mill, and I started off with Endurance in hand, which is a pretty solid start. Opponent goes starts with Crab. It's good for me because I have a Prismatic End to kill the Crab here. Endurance in hand, so that is great news for me. Opponent mills me a bit with Crab. I go for the second ending, kill their second Crab. They mill 3 more and surveil for the end of turn. I go for a surveil as well and pass the turn. Okay, so next turn I have Endurance open. Opponent continues milling me. Opponent continues with milling, and now I have to choose. So I decided to go Solitude, kill the Hadron Crab, and I fetch a second forest so I can play Endurance next turn, and then I play Harbinger, so I can now start attacking with Harbinger, and cut black mana from the opponent, and I can just hard cast Endurance next turn because I have a second forest, mill in my entire graveyard, and continue attacking for 5. It seems like a great place to be for me. So I still have 24 cards in my library, so I decide to wait with Endurance. They can't use Drowning Log, so it seems like a great situation for me, and they can mill me, but they can use removal spells, so I don't really care much about I can be really patient with Endurance. And now I have more than 20 cards in hand, and I don't want to let them draw 3 with Visions, so I decide to go for Endurance. In response to Visions, shuffle my entire graveyard in library, and they draw only 1, so at this point opponent concedes. That was the game. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Okay, so here we have Force of Negations. I think this is a pretty solid hand. So starting off with I have Coiling Oracle, Force of Negation for their 3 mana spell, Endurance from the top. Birthing Ritual is also pretty good here, finding me, helping me find Endurance. And here I decide to go for Solitude immediately, kill the Ruin Crab. I played my Coiling Oracle. Next turn I can go for Birthing Ritual and try to find Endurance or something else. Here opponent unfortunately has Tasha. Tasha is better in this situation than other spells. Okay, so here I go find Relier, and Relier brings back a Coiling Oracle. I find Ephemerate, and then I also have Flare of Denial in hand and Force of Negation plus Endurance. So I also have Ephemerate, so I would say this is pretty brutal against Mill. I don't think it gets much better than this. So I think like 2 Force of Negation and 2 Endurance is my main sideboard against them. I don't think I need anything else. And here I go for a Witness. But yeah, my opponent in response extirpates all my Ephemerates. I can't respond to that because it has a split second. I can't do anything about that, but it doesn't really matter because my hand is just so good. And I play Endurance here, protected by Force of Negation. And I go for Endurance end of turn. So I go for Endurance because that is a lot of damage. So that is 8 damage here. So it's kind of like a certain 2 turn clock. And I Force of Negation their Drowning Lock. Play the Renegade Relier, put them down on 4. Opponent, of course, can't find a solution for this many creatures. So that is it. Game over. Win against Mill in game 1. So in match 1. So let's check out match 2. Okay, so in match 2, I keep a decent hand, but I'm missing a blue mana here. If I can get a blue mana, hand is almost like perfect. And here it is, find Flooded Strand from the top. I have to take this Ragavan hit, but it's okay. I can find Hedge Maze and surveil the top, leave the land on the top, which will they exile with Ragavan. I'm fine with that, but opponent here, if you can see, they have a brutal hand and it doesn't get much better than this. And my Calling Oracle was really good here, like 2 mana, put land into play and surveil 1 seems like really crazy. But my opponent had a crazy start with so many 1-drops, and I so that was a quick win for opponent in game 1. Let's check out game 2. So I have a second Breath of the Skies in the sideboard, so I definitely want that and all the removal I have there. And I start first, so this is much easier game. My opponent starts with Guide of Souls, but that's okay. I have a Flare of Denial. I can counter their turn 2 spell. Opponent goes for Ragavan. I don't care much about that, but I do care about Ocelot and don't want to let them get the 3 energy so easily. So now my opponent goes for attack with Ragavan, and I decide to surprise my opponent in combat with Ice Fang. Draw a card here, try to block Ragavan, hopefully, and also the surveil, put land in the yard. Here I find Solitude from the top. That was a good find. And next turn I can go Coiling Oracle plus Birthing Ritual, seems pretty good. Opponent puts Flage in the yard, pings me for 3, but now I find another basic and I can go Coiling Oracle plus Ritual, and here you can also see me finding Flare. That was Flare of Denial, great find in this situation. And opponent, I decided not to use a Flare in this situation. It didn't seem like really good, so I decided instead I'll go for to just let them resolve a Flage, and now I go for Renegade Relier, find Ice Fang. Ice Fang draws me a card, and also now I can play a Spell Snare if I want to. Okay, so the Harbinger of the Seas, you can see in this situation how it's pretty solid, because despite it being pretty useless here, I can still play it and sacrifice it end of turn. So it seems even the creatures you can't that are kind of useless, you can still find a good use for them. Okay, so here it is, kind of awkward situation. Opponent plays Bombardment, plays another Flage. They can escape Flage with Arena of Glory next turn. Seems like a good play, but I have Flare and I've been really patient with it. So now you can see me play Witness. Witness has a lot of good targets, but mostly what I want is a white card for Solitude, because I have Ephemerate in hand, and I'm also hoping I can find a blue creature with Birthing Ritual. Okay, so this way I will be able to Flare of Denial whatever they play, and I will still be able to hold Spell Snare and Ephemerate Solitude. All that seems like really unstoppable. So I decide to the safer way would be, as I said, go for Relier here. But I also had Ice Fang, and Ice Fang has a Death Touch, and I end of turn find Endurance, exile their graveyard. That was pretty brutal. Now they can't attack my Guide of Souls. And here I find Witch Enchanter, end of turn kill a goblin bombardment as well. Pretty brutal turns here. You can see just absolutely destroying opponent, and I start attacking with solitude, drawing cards, destroying whatever they put on the field, removing graveyard, removing enchantments, removing creatures. It was pretty brutal turns here. And yeah, so at this point the opponent just can't do anything. They are on a lot of life, but they are on 0 cards. No flage. I have like a double birthing ritual. I have many creatures. I have removal now as well. So it's a kind of pretty hopeless situation for opponent. Here you can see me. I find Coiling Oracle, Oculus, and Flare of Denial. So now it's enough for my opponent, and they concede. That is the game. And let's check out game 3. Okay, so opponent had a pretty brutal hand in game 1. I had everything in game 2. So in game 3, it was the kind of hand was too good to not keep it, even if it was just a one-lander, but like a triple solitude with ephemerate. And I also have a Calling Oracle Neoform. It seemed like just too good to not keep, and I decided to risk it a bit this time. So I let Ocelot Pride enter the battlefield, and I decided to kill the Ocelot Pride can get out of control. I think God of Souls can't really get out of control that much because I have a second Solitude. And here you can see me going for Coiling Oracle, finding that second land I needed. And here I also find a third land with Coiling Oracle. Coiling Oracle is sometimes just like a brutal creature, and sometimes it just does so much. And here you can see me going for double ephemerate on my Coiling Oracle, and now I also have a Solitude here, and I already have a 5 mana thanks to the Coiling Oracle. Coiling Oracle did such an incredible job here. So opponent goes for Guide of Souls. I have all 3 of my basics in case they go for the Blood Moon. I have double white to go for the Solitude. I wait for them to use their energy. Then I exile one of the guides, and I wanted to block a second one, but opponent had a removal for the second one, so was not able to do that, but still. I was in a pretty good situation. Okay, so sometimes, because the problem sometimes you have with this build is too many white mana, but because of the Witch Enchanters, but the Witch Enchanter is just so strong, so good, that it doesn't make any sense to play less than 4. It's just a brutal card in this deck. Okay, so we can see here I go for Flare of Denial, prevent them from flipping a Johnny, and here you can see how good is Ice Fang actually in some of these mid-range matchups where it's actually draw a card plus removal. It's actually ridiculous in these long games against the Guide of Souls, against Oculus, Murktides or whatever. It's just too good. Opponent again 0 cards in hand, and look at my hand. I have everything you would want to have. There's like a Neoform, double triple ritual, endurance, calling oracle. There's just so much stuff here. I decide to go for Oculus. Oculus is the biggest beater here, and yeah, so I manifest and one endurance there, and I have a second endurance in hand if needed. So I go for a second birthing ritual. Be careful with birthing rituals. If you're low on time, birthing, like having triple or double birthing ritual in hand can take a lot of time from your clock. If you're learning play, slowing play, be kind of careful, especially about playing like a third ritual, like doing the triple ritual ability at the end of each turn can be bit exhausting and time consuming. Okay, so that was it. Opponent couldn't handle all of this, so that was a game over, and yeah. That was game over and so we can now check out the match 3. Okay, so after losing game 1 to Energy after they had that brutal hand with double Ocelot plus Guide and Ragavan, I was able to recover in remaining 2 games and absolutely dominate those 2 games. Okay, so again, it's such a powerful start, the Coiling Oracle and Flare of Denial, and it's also a bit annoying because if they kill it, I have like double Relier in hand. It must be so annoying for them. Okay, so I decide definitely want to use Dreams of Steel and Oil here. Sorry, I want to counter Dreams of Steel and Oil there because they would be able to like take Coiling Oracle from my graveyard and Relier from my hand. That seemed too good. And here I draw another Flare of Denial, so I go Renegade Relier for Oracle again. This seems like so brutal, really strong. Okay, so I have another Flare of Denial for whatever they play, and here opponent decides to kill my Relier, and that means I can actually use the Flare of Denial here. I think Doughty was a good enough target here to use it. Opponent takes my Endurance and leaves me with now I have a Spell Snare and I don't want to waste my Relier, so I'm waiting until I can get like a fetch or something like that. They play Harvester, so I use my Spell Snare. We are both now on 1 card in hand. I don't want to waste my spells. I'm holding, waiting for what will my opponent play. So, okay, here it is, Arena of Glory for opponent. That's actually a pretty solid land to have. I don't have anything to play that seems like a good here, so I decided to just stay back with all these cards. I don't want to waste spells. And here opponent plays a Fable, so now this seems like a pretty good situation to play my Witch Enchanter, kill Fable. Okay, so I go for that. My opponent also can't really attack with the Bowmaster. They can only attack with the Goblin Shaman token, and I'm pretty happy to do that trade there and trade Shaman token to Witch Enchanter. I don't mind that. I now have a fetch on the field, so this means I can use a Renegade Relier again. Okay, so here it is. I really wanted to get rid of this Doughty first. Opponent is only 0 cards in hand. So here it is, another Doughty for the opponent. I have options, of course. I can remove their second Doughty again. I find Harbinger of the Seas. It's yeah, Harbinger of the Seas is not that great against when you're playing against this 2-color decks, but I had a Renegade Relier here. I went for a Coiling Oracle, and now I wet Ephemerate immediately to find a second green source, so I can play a Birthing Ritual immediately. A Birthing Ritual now in this situation lets me really just do so many stuff, end of turn, sacrificing, and it's just such a useful card. Okay, so I have Ephemerate here, so I go for, I have all 4 of my basics here, but I think that it's still a good idea to remove the Blood Moon here, because I won't be able to use Solitude otherwise. Okay, so here I go Solitude immediately, exile their Doughty Voidwalker. I can now also end of turn sack Solitude to find another Solitude. Birthing Ritual is just such a crazy card. It really often goes super strong in this deck. Okay, so I didn't want to find Ice Fang while they had Orcish Bowmaster on the field. Ice Fang would just die, so it didn't make much sense. Opponent continues attacking here. I decide to trade with Relier. And the next turn I can play second Birthing Ritual plus Harbinger of the Seas. Harbinger of the Seas, as I mentioned before, it's really never like really dead, because you can always sack it to either Neoform or Birthing Ritual. So it's never really dead, and the sweet thing about Birthing Ritual is that it also You can sacrifice 3 mana creature to find a 3 or 2 mana creature, so there is plenty of targets throughout the deck. It's not like Neoform that you need to find a creature with converted mana cost of 4 when you're sacrificing a Harbinger. So Harbinger is always useful even when it's completely useless. So here I've sacrificed the Harbinger. It's in the worst case, it's a sacrifice fodder to find yourself Oculus or something, or Witness or Skyclave Apparition or something like that. In this situation, you can see me finding Oculus and opponent. After finding Oculus, opponent concedes. So that is game 1 against Rakdos midrange. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so this is pretty solid hand, but I am missing second green-blue source. I immediately find it from the top, second Winsub Heat. So this is looking like a great situation. I can go Meticulous or Hedge Maze on turn 1, then go for Forest, or go for Temple Garden, so I have double white for Skyclave as well, and play Coring Oracle, then turn 3 hold Ephemerate plus play Birthing Ritual. Seems like a really strong start. I really like playing Coring Oracle, and the potential sometimes ramping you into third land can be really good. Okay, so I think I made a mistake here. So it was kind of obvious opponent is holding Orcish Bowmaster here. So correct play would be play Birthing Ritual and let them make them like waste their Orcish Bowmaster ping. But instead, when I didn't do that, I at least I play didn't trigger Bowmaster twice with Ice Fang, so I decided to use it in the response, so I can draw a 2 with Ice Fang just to do the country ping thing. And yeah, the sweet thing about Coiling Oracle is it doesn't trigger the Orcish Bowmaster, so it plays pretty solid against it. And yeah, okay, so Oculus is actually pretty good in this deck. At most times it enables you to, it's very easy to play it from hand. It's not like a hard task to do, and by turn 5 I think in most situations you will be able to do it. Okay, so here it is, opponent finds Kroxa. This actually makes it easier for me to cast Oculus next turn. I take 1 from Orcish army, don't mind that. Opponent, of course, they have Kroxa in the yard, but they don't know that I have Oculus in hand, which I can play. So I go for a third basic. I have to exile everything from the yard to play my Oculus, and I'm protecting it with Ephemerate in case they have instant speed removal. And my Oculus is again filling my yard, which can be relevant for Renegade Relier and Eternal Witness. So always be careful what you're putting into graveyard with Oculus ability. It can matter. Sometimes you will want more to have like Ice Fang in the yard than in on the field. If you have Birthing Ritual, then it's good to have this manifest these creatures into play, because you can then turn it up for its cost and sacrifice it on a Birthing Ritual. So it's important to memorize these few details. Okay, so opponent now has a Kroxa with Arena of Glory. Arena of Glory obviously great for them in this situation, but I have a solution for Kroxa. I have Skyclave Apparition. I have enough jumpers. I will have to discard 2 cards here though, so but that's not a huge problem. Okay, so I will still have Skyclave Apparition and Birthing Ritual on my turn, which they both seem like really good. I'm also holding Ephemerate in case they try to kill Coiling Oracle or whatever. Okay, so I go Ephemerated my manifested Calling Oracle, and then I draw a Solitude for a turn, exile their Kroxa, and after finding Solitude, I was in a pretty good situation, but my opponent did better than I thought actually here, and they were able to like clear my board with Pyroclasm plus Lightning Bolt, killing my Oculus, which was enough to kill all of my creatures. So once again, me and my opponent were in a top deck mode, with both players with bunch of lands on the field. Opponent, I played the Witch Enchanter just as a blocker attacker. They have removal and they continue attacking with their Orc army. At this point, I just play Witch Enchanter as a 2/2 guy here that can block an Orc army. Okay, so opponent does well. They kill my enchanter, brings back their Orcish Bowmaster, puts me down on 4. So pretty long game, but here it is. Great top deck in this situation. Opponent kind of felt that I had a good draw here, so they decided not to attack with Orcish Bowmaster, which was yeah, that was a definitely great decision for the opponent. Now I was able to start attacking with Solitude, gaining life, which was relevant in a situation like this. We're both in a top decking mode. Yeah, definitely didn't need more lands, but I got them here. And opponent finds Fable. Fable, I think, in this situation, such a great top deck for them. Okay, so, but yeah, I find Ice Fang. Ice Fang from the top was pretty good for me here. Hoping to find, actually not that good because obviously opponent has Orcish Bowmaster. A Quelling Oracle would be better. All this discard kind of useless in a situation like this. So we are both staying back, opponent waiting for a Fable flip. A Witch Enchanter from the top kills a Fable. As I already said, such a good card. Really strong card in a lot of situations. Witch Enchanter just does amazing job killing fables, killing enchantment removals. I trade with Ice Fang and stay back with Witch Enchanter because Witch Enchanter can block Orcish Bowmaster and Orc Army token better. I decide not to crack my fetch here, don't want to go too low, and now I gain 4 and decide to just stay back and try to find more good draws. Opponent finds Doughty Void Walker. I don't have any more of these any more of lands, so it would probably be safe for me to start attacking there because I had endurance. Okay, opponent goes in for 3. I am on 5 life and I can finally play. I can play endurance here. Opponent doesn't have any like graveyard matter cards there, but endurance is a good piece at the moment because it can attack, it can block their creatures well. So also removing their graveyard can be definitely helpful, and we can see me here finding last Solitude, and Neoform puts it into play with counter. Now I'm able to start attacking with endurance. Opponent is down on 9. I have a big Solitude on the field here also attacking, and little by little I gained advantage, and kind of this Neoform into Solitude was key in this game that got me the win here. So yeah, now I Solitude gaining me life here. They can't trade with Solitude, they can only jump it, which puts me in a great situation. I'm now on 9 life, opponent is down on 6, and they will be forced to jump next turn again. Opponent doesn't find what they need from the top, so they decide to concede, and that was the match against Ragdos mid-range. So let's check out the last win of this league, match number 4, then we'll check out the defeat in the end. Okay, so here we are playing first. I had to mulligan that, obviously a 1-lander with a not that great hand, and here I mulligan into pretty solid 6. I would say like I'm really happy with this type of hand. I can go turn to Coiling Oracle, and I have potential of turn 3 ritual finding something good, and I'm also holding fetch for turn 3 to use it with Renegade Rallier. If they kill, that's especially good if they kill my Oracle, then it becomes really strong. If they don't kill, I can play like Birthing Ritual plus hold Ephemerate. This is very interesting game. So obviously I'm playing against Living End, and I don't have anything in the main against Living End except for that single endurance. And I can neoform into it, obviously, or ritual into it, but yeah, I didn't have it in this situation. So now I use my ephemerate to try to draw more cards, but opponent here was able to force of negation my birthing ritual and then resolve living end on their turn and put 3 big creatures into play, which made this hard situation for me. Okay, so I go for Ice Fang here. Ice Fang, I can ephemerate Ice Fang, so I decide to do that. And now I can go for a blue basic and play second Ice Fang, which actually gives that touch to both of my Ice Fangs, which was pretty good. And second Solitude means I can exile their Waker of Waves, which was the key here because it was removing the power from my Ice Fangs. Okay, so right now I didn't want to die to some trick, so I didn't want to double block with Ice Fangs, so they kill one and the second one loses that touch. So I decided to just block with one. Opponent went in for 7 damage, but I was still in a good situation. Now I was able to, my Ice Fang still has that touch with the third basic. I go down on 7, play Solitude, exile their Generous Ant, and I decide to put Solitude in the yard, gain 3 more life, and now my opponent is in trouble. I have a big yard as well, but opponent has the best thing they can have there, and they find like the best thing they could have. That was like endurance, and then play the second living end in the moment when I thought that I finally recovered. My opponent does the thing again, so now I'm in trouble again. But this entire game was like truly amazing. How did this all play out? It really required me to not fail anywhere in any situation. Okay, so I went Renegade Rallier here because I really wanted to save my Rallier, and Ice Fang was such a good card in this matchup here because it just killed all their creatures. And again, after them resolving the second living end, I was still able to get back into this game. And here I find a neoform, I find a second ephemerate, so I go for Oculus. Oculus is a great blocker, making more blockers, and I have a second ephemerate here for the Renegade Rallier. Okay, so why I didn't go for ephemerate sooner is because I was afraid of them doing the trick before if I do this before combat, so I had to block first, leave 2 damage to go through, and then ephemerate Rallier again. And now I bringing back Kotal. Kotal is drawing me cards, and with that touch it's enabling me to block all their creatures with or without flying. It's really important piece here, especially if they try to play something like Subtlety to finish me off. Okay, so I go for Coiling Oracle, and after they done so much, I'm still ahead. And here I draw into Solitude. Amazing. And because I have Solitude, I'm pretty confident I can just pause the turn here, let them play whatever they want. I'm not sure why they didn't play this on Coiling Oracle. They were probably hoping I'll play something else, but I didn't. And now I have another manifested creature with Oculus providing many blockers here, and I had plenty of options. I decided to block all their creatures, only their endurance survives. I have a bunch of creatures in the yard as well. If they go for a third living end, then I will be in a good situation as well. I exiled a lot of their creatures. They still have few in the yard, but overall I'm just in a pretty solid situation. Okay, manifested another creature. A spell snare is dead in this matchup, unfortunately. Okay, I have to jump. I don't have a choice here. And but I turn that creature up. It was endurance, so it actually doesn't die. I have enough and in this moment I solitude their endurance, and I have a bunch of damage here. It's not lethal, but it's 2-turn clock, so my hand is great. I have a Harbinger plus Birthing Ritual. I can play both Harbinger as a blocker, so I decide to go for a Birthing Ritual first. It's important to resolve it, and the Spell Snare is pretty dead, but that doesn't matter. We both have basics we need, so yeah, there is just nothing relevant I can find here. My graveyard is also full with creatures, so even if they play a second living end, it's still just not good enough. It doesn't seem like it's good enough. As you can see here, my opponent played the third living end, and now I had more creatures than them, and they conceded. So that was a win against living end. So let's check out game 2. Obviously, what I want in this matchup is Consign. Consign is great against Cascade decks. Force of Negation is definitely great against them, and Endurance as a graveyard hate. It's just 6 very strong cards, or 7 strong cards in the sideboard against them. I also have a Flare of Denials. It just seems like a pretty good matchup in post board games. As you will see, I have like a turn 2 Calling Oracle, Flare of Denial, Consign to Memory. If you replicate this, there's just no chance for them to counter that, so except for Veil of Summer, of course, but which they can't play in Living End deck. So Consign to Memory, kind of, if you play it for 2 mana, you're guaranteed to counter their whatever they try. Okay, so a lot of counter spells, and a lot of card draw usually means a good matchup against Living End. I think it is, and you saw how well did I do in that game 1 without any hate. That was truly incredible game. That was truly incredible game, showing all this deck can do. Okay, so what I want to do here is just end of turn, fetch Surveil, go for a Coiling Oracle on my turn, find a double blue, because I have a second Flare of Denial. I feel very safe, feel super safe in this situation. So I go for a second Coiling Oracle, which means I'm holding double Flare of Denial. I have 2 flares. And here my opponent goes for Shardless Agent, try to resolve Living End, but I have double flare, so I'm able to counter that. And now I have to play it slowly. I have to let some damage through and try to counter the relevant spells and let the non-relevant spells resolve. Opponent goes Endurance end of turn. At this point I have to counter that. If I don't counter it, then they'll just win without even ever resolving the Living End. Now I play Solitude in response to their Endurance, and I play Consign to Memory, which I use to scam my Solitude in, and I just use it to scam my Solitude, counter Endurance ability, and it was just a pretty solid play. Now I have Neoform in play and I have Relier, but I decide I don't want to waste Relier ability again, so I'm hoping to hold another turn, try to draw a land. My opponent plays Generous, and now they have two strong attackers here, which puts me in a weird position. I find Eidolon of Rhetoric. It's kind of too late for Eidolon, so I use it this turn only to jump for one turn, not go too low. And hopefully, this is what I was waiting for. I was waiting to find this land. So now I bring back Birthing Ritual. Birthing Ritual then finds Endurance. Endurance exiles their yard and blocks Subtlety well. So now I can, of course, I have to take 5 and I'm down on 3, but that's not a problem. On my turn, I can go for Coiling Oracle plus Neoform, and I have another Endurance as well. So I go for a Neoform, but unfortunately my opponent had Force of Negation. I probably should have anticipated that, and yeah, probably should have anticipated that, not play Neoform for that turn. Here you can see me finding Kotal end of turn. So if my opponent has a removal right now, I can survive that, but they didn't have it, so I was able to it's such a great situation here. So I'm finding Endurance end of turn. I'm holding Solitude as well. I waited this moment for them to tap out. Now I can play my Solitude, exile their Generous end, and have 2 blockers for their Endurance. It feels like a really strong situation, and it doesn't seem like they can do much here. Opponent does find a Curator of Mysteries, but that's still good for me. Oculus top deck at this point wasn't good when my graveyard just got shuffled, but I have like double blocker for their Curator of Mysteries, and I find a second Solitude with Birthing Ritual, putting one Solitude in the yard, and finding the second one. It's just so strong against Living End deck in a situation like this. And once again, I'm in such a dominant position because of this Birthing Ritual. This Birthing Ritual, it's truly a crazy card here. And once again, same play. Exile, Sex Solitude, Find Solitude. Everything they have is exiled, and it's a pretty bad situation for opponent. They realize it, and they concede here. So that was a match against... Okay, so great match against Living End. So in the end, we have to watch the defeat as well. I think like this defeat was also pretty close. It wasn't the closest one. As I said, I was winning in one of the trophy matches with the deck I played, and I ran out of time. That was like the closest match. I think I would win that one and get the trophy. But this game also, this is the only game I lost in this league. I think it was pretty close. Okay, so my opponent has a good start. They were connect with Ocelot and play Ajani on turn 2, making a lot of these Ocelot tokens, and they also go for a Flage here. So I go for a second Coiling Oracle, and I find Wrath of the Skies. It's definitely one of the cards I was looking for. So I have to let all this damage through. Unfortunately, my opponent goes for a Guide of Souls and tries to flip their Ajani, but I use my Flare to prevent that. And they gain a bunch of energy, and I'm on 8 at the moment. So I find I have to go down to 5 to play Wrath of the Skies. Wrath of the Skies cleans their entire board. It was really incredible in this situation. And I'm on 5, and my opponent has only one card in hand. And at this point, it seemed like I was able to do something, but my opponent still had Flage in the yard, which was hard for me to deal with. And now I have Find Solitude to exile their Flage. I have Spell Snare to I have Spell Snare, I have Flare of Denial and Ice Fang in hand. It means if I was able to untap and survive a turn, I think this would be a lock. There's just no chance opponent would be able to get out of this one. I get the card from Ice Fang, I'm holding Flare of Denial, I'm holding Spell Snare, end of turn, I'm sacrificing something to find a better creature at the moment or draw another card. It would be such a great situation. I don't think my opponent would be able to come back from that. So it was a game where Wrath of the Skies almost just completely let me win, but in the end, thanks to the Flage, opponent was able to deal the remaining damage. So that was the game for the opponent, and let's check out game 2. Okay, so played against Energy. Energy is one of the most common matchups. Let's check out game 2 against them. I think, yeah, like this, as I said, this game 1 was, in my opinion, super close, and it could easily go a different way, and I would be able, if I untapped, if they didn't have second Flage, I would untap, and that would be, from then, that would be, I think, super easy game for me. Okay, so in game 2, opponent again starts good. I think I did a mistake here. It is kind of a rule I do, and this time I played against my rule. I didn't follow my rule, and I usually I play Calling Oracle first and then Birthing Ritual, and I got punished here. My opponent was able to play Traben Charm on curve there, and this way I didn't resolve my Birthing Ritual, but I was still good. I was able to resolve Wrath of the Skies. Wrath of the Skies cleans their board, kill Ocelot, kill a Johnny, and now I'm relying on this Witch Enchanter to block this Ocelot. Unfortunately, my opponent has a Flage in the yard, and they also have a Ren of Glory in the field, and I'm missing one card in the yard to play this Oculus. And yeah, while I was missing one card to play it, opponent finds the last land they need to go for hasty Flage, and that settled it. So that was it. Wasn't able to do much against that. So that was the game for the opponent. This time Energy beat me, but all in all I felt like the two matches in this league against Energy, I felt like this deck does well against it. Of course there will be times like that in match 1 against Energy when they started with the God of Souls double Ocelot and I didn't draw a single removal, so I didn't have Solitude, I didn't have Ending, didn't have a Wrath of the Skies or Skyclave Apparition or anything, any interaction at that point. It's just an impossible game. But in post-board games, I have a second Wrath of the Skies. I'm digging hard. I have more endurance to take care of their Flages, and Spell Snares are great, Flare of Denials are great, Oculus is also great against them, and Birthing Ritual is just a super powerful card, which will win the mid-range battles against Energy a lot of the times. So that was it. Overall, pretty happy with the deck. As I said, last 3 leagues I played with this deck, I went 4-1 in all of them, and in some of them was really close to trophy, and all of the leagues I played were fun, and I felt like I have plenty of options against all decks, all the competitive decks at the moment have a really good game, but you have to kind of get familiar with the deck, know what you can do, what you can't, and know what you can side in each matchup. Have some very relevant sideboard cards to win against energy or combo decks or Eldrazi's and so on. So you have to get familiar with the deck, but once you do, it really does a lot, has a lot of options, and I really think this version, the Bant Neoform or Bant Ritual, is as good as Celestia Ritual and is as good as Sultai Neoform. I think it's somewhere between those two decks. It's kind of I would say like a mix between those two decks, like Celestia Neoform, Celestia Ritual, sorry, and Sultai Neoform. Bant is kind of somewhere between them, and it has like good cards from both of these decks. Kind of, I would say like meshing those two together, and it feels really good. It feels really good. Some very strong play patterns, especially with Flare of Denial and Ephemerate, Coiling Oracles, Ice Fang Kotals, both work so great with both Flares and Ephemerates and Neoforms and Rituals. It's just super impressed with all this. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. For the end, friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment down in the video. Let me know your opinions. Do you like Sultai Neoform better or Bant Neoform? Which one is your favorite? Which one will you be trying on MTGO or in paper? Let me know. Okay, so again, thank you for watching. That's all for today, and goodbye.